right, I'm here with Pete Kenichi, right?
Kenichi.
I got it right, but I'm going to let you repeat it at the end of the interview. Also, of the there's a new blog. It's from the Constitutional Enforcement PAC. We just interviewed another person from your organization, and he mentioned the Kentucky Resolution.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the Kentucky Resolution? Because he said you knew it better.
It's the Kentucky Resolutions of 1798. And what it was is Thomas Jefferson actually wrote them. And the federal government instituted something called the Alien and Sedition Acts.
Under John Adams.
Exactly. And what it tried to do was control immigration. And Jefferson said basically, according to the Constitution, immigration was a state province until the early 1800s. So he said the federal government had no authority whatsoever to implement these acts. But the biggest thing he did is Jefferson was quite a wordsmith, as you know from the Declaration of Independence. So he went through and he said a couple of things. He said, first of all, the federal government is not a party to the Constitution. He says the federal government is a creation of the Constitution. It exists solely to serve the needs of the state to perform defined and definite duties. And it said whenever it's performing those defined and definite duties, if you don't agree with them, the proper course of action is to vote the person out of office. But if they usurp power, no matter what it is, such as Obamacare today or gun control or something like that, the proper action is to ignore implementation or to nullify those acts. And I totally agree with you whatsoever.
Now, one of the things that we discussed with your colleague was vetting candidates who were true constitutionalists. What are the things you're looking for in a candidate? Can you give me an example of a candidate that would be someone that you would support?
Oh, totally. The thing is, I don't know if you know Justin Amash. He's a great federal representative. He's totally constitutional. But what happens is the federal government has very definite duties. The federal duties and the state duties are exclusive. The federal is responsible for national functions, defense, immigration, weights and measures. The states and the people are responsible for everything else. So whenever a dictate comes down from the federal government outside of its authority, it's the obligation of the state representatives to go through and to refuse to implement it. So if you're dealing with Obamacare, health care, education, anything else which is directed by the federal government, the state should just say, no, we're not going to implement it.
Now, to what degree has the power of the purse been used to cajole and persuade people away from this form of government?
And that's the problem. The federal government gets so much money out of the states through income tax, corporate tax, death tax, whatever, brings it to Washington, gives it back to the states with conditions attached. What I propose is that all federal taxes should be collected by the states and put in the state treasury. The state should refuse to take any money from the federal government. And then what should happen is the state should forward to the federal government what's required to pay for the enumerated duties and nothing more. Pay for defense, immigration, whatever. But whatever is used for health and human services, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, should stay in the state. The state should use that money as it deems proper.
All right, and again, if people want to contribute to this PAC, where do they go?
www.constitutionalenforcement, CONSTITUTIONAL enforcement.com.
Okay, Peter, thank you very much for your time, and pronounce your last name again so I don't mess it up.
Peter Kenichi.
Peter Kenichi, thank you very much for your time.